remodeling, finding a painter or contractor, figuring out how to do what we want to do in our homes, it's complicated. So Karen and I invited one of our favorite people, Darren Johnson, who owns a home renovation company, to give us the tips of the trade. Welcome, Darren.
Yeah, good afternoon.
I know you're busy, so thanks for coming in and spending a few minutes with us today.
Oh, glad to help.
Yeah, so when people decide that they want to do work on their home, what would you recommend they do to what's the first step in finding a contractor? It's hard.
I'd ask your neighbors, your relatives, who they've had good luck with, who they've had bad luck with. There's a number of really good people in town, and then there's also, unfortunately, the ones that give us a black eye, you know.
Yeah.
So contracts are important, reputation's important.
Yeah, contracts, signing a contract, having a contract. Yeah, and I definitely agree with the referrals, the word of mouth, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want your work listed. Our company is still one of those few that does a little on a handshake, but it's getting more and more. So you're getting away from that, from both ends of the spectrum. There's also some unhonest, dishonest people out there that are happy to screw over their local contractor.
Yeah, well, any industry really.
Right.
we don't talk about that. That's why you're here, Darren.
The biggest thing I think is referrals and word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you're getting ready to do any sort of home project, talk about expectations, timelines, what everybody thinks it's a do-it-yourself project, and then it's not, and it costs more, and then supplies and things like that. So when you really be realistic, when you sit down with your contractor about what your goals are and to accomplish those, because I think sometimes people are disappointed because they budgeted this for a kitchen or that for a bathroom, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, we're 10,000 over budget. So how do you walk people through the reality of a home project and making their vision come true?
Well, we do that. We do a walkthrough on the project. Then we go back and figure materials and labor, and everything you're doing should be listed on a sheet of paper someplace, and your materials. And then you have to decide, do you need somebody to hold your hand when you're picking out the materials? Like if you're doing a major renovation in your bathroom, do you want someone to help you pick the tile, pick your colors? It could be something as simple as a really good interior decorator, or it could be something like one of our local vendors that you'd schedule an appointment with them, go in, work with the designer for a couple hours, and then you're going to pay a little extra for that, but I've been told that they're well worth their money.
And you're packing your patience for the whole project, because again, everything seems to take longer, not because we want it to, but really I think we watch these 30-minute TV shows and think it happens that quickly, and it doesn't.
Not lately, especially with the problems with material shortages, and we've had people ask us about windows lately. I think the latest customer I mentioned said that they put their order in at a local big box store, which typically is pretty quick, and they're having to wait 4 months.
Yeah.
Heating and cooling, pretty much anything is being delayed, with the exception of you can still get drywall and 2x4s.
Yeah. So how often do projects change scope? So you come in, homeowner hires you, and they hire you to paint the living room. How often does it stay just the living room?
Kind of depends on the client. It's very common for us to come in, and once they see how nice something looks, then it changes, and the next thing you know, you're gutting somebody's bathroom and putting in a new shower stall for
when
them.
You started just painting the living room.
It's possible.
What's your favorite room to redo?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we have a lot of bathrooms we're doing lately. I'm not sure that's our favorite, but it's definitely our most popular at the moment.
But what is your favorite? That's a good question. What do you love to do? What do you love to design?
Oh, I don't know. I'm a painter by trade. I started back in the 90s, and so I like the finish work. You can just come in and you see something that was done maybe 20, 30 years ago, and it's really rough. And if we put a little, polish on it, we can really turn it into something nice.
Do you take a lot of pride in the work and projects that you're doing?
Yeah, and that's one area that I would say that can make or break it. Not just because I'm a painter, but a lot of homeowners think, okay, I'm going to hire the contractor to do X, Y, Z, but I'm going to finish up on the, I'm going to do all the finish work. And usually somebody with a trained eye can walk in and spot those things pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. So how about the challenges in your business? I mean, you're not out there doing all this painting yourself. You've got a pretty big business. How are you finding workers?
That's a good question. We speak Russian at home, and so I'm involved. We're also Russian Orthodox Christians, so that helps. That the guys, I've got guys that work for me who don't speak English real well, so they're happy with that. And then we've also got our American side of the crew, where we recently just hired a guy that's super talented, and in his spare time builds race boats, wood race boats that I don't know. He's super talented. So
yeah, that's really cool. All right, so let's shift gears for a minute. Karen, I don't know if you know much about paint finishes.
No, I don't.
I don't either. Talk to us about different finishes. We just have a minute before we have to wrap up.
Well,
what's the trend right now?
Right. What is a good trend?
Whites. We went from accessible beige to light grays to whites. If you're trying to sell your home, go with flat finishes on the walls and ceilings.
Okay.
If you're going to move in with kids and dogs, go with flat on your ceiling and eggshell on the walls.
All right, there you
Great
go.
tips.
That is like the
That's
tip of
awesome,
the
yeah.
moment. Thank you so much, Darren. That's a great way to wrap this segment. Thanks for joining us today. So glad you could be here. Thanks to Darren Johnson, and thank you for joining us today for more great tips on buying and selling and living in our homes. I'm Sarah Bernard with Real Life.